Sarita?
Yay, now we're recording. So hello, welcome. I'm just going to quickly revive. We are in Kedoshim, and it is my favorite portion. And I was just saying when I was reminded to record, thank you very much. Thank goodness that was just all stuff no one cares about. We are live. We're talking about, if you are listening to the recording, that our writers conference is live. So go to therootedcafe.com and you can go up into the events page and you can actually register. It is free. Those of you who help us donate, thank you so much that you donate $1 a month, $5 a month, one time, $1, whatever you help us with. What it helps us do is it helps us get the platform to be able to put that out free to everyone. It helps us pay for spreading Torah to the nations. I mean, we really are, I feel like we're really good soil, and we get to do really fun things with it, but we are, and letting people know about it, because Facebook does charge us to get it out to make sure people see it. You'd think because we post it, everyone sees it. No, they don't. That's the reason, if you notice on here, I'll say, hey, say something over in Facebook, make a comment, because that tells Facebook, oh, this must be important. So it'll open it to 10 more people. All 2,000 of you don't see this. You think you do, you don't. So the more of you that are chatting in there on that comment line, it actually tells Facebook, oh, this is something everyone in this group wants to see. We better boost it. So that really, really, really helps us. That's one thing you can do if you're like, what can I do? Pray for us. Second of all, comment a lot. Go in there and comment and say things and reply, because that does tell them that. But this morning, and again, we're all waving to Brenda because we just miss her so much. She's on a sabbatical right now, doing fun things, healing things, loving things. And we just love you, sending prayers. Father, I just ask that you surround Brenda right now, right where she's at, Father, that she feels your presence, that she feels your healing. Father, I thank you that you are just lifting her up on eagle's wings, Father. And I just love you so much for the gift that she is to us, that you've given her to us, and that we're surrounding her right now. And we have a blessing with Erica. Again, I was saying Erica is one of our instructors over in the Rooted Cafe. She teaches the renewed heart. She is about the new moon. Amazing. This is a new thing for me, the new moon, Erica. You know that this year it's new for me. The first time, some of you laugh, the first time I was talking, people were telling me they have these new moon parties or services at their houses or whatever. I was thinking these women in white dresses with like flowers around their head and dancing around a fire, you know. And I'm like, what do people?
Not quite.
What
there may be some Hebrew dancing.
I'm like, what is this? What does this you speak of? And it was so fun the first time that I went to Deborah Flanagan's home, and Keisha was there, and all the women, all the girls, the cool kids were all there, and I got to touch them and love on them in person. But it was a beautiful night of worship. It was a beautiful night of prayer. It was a beautiful night of teaching. They blew the shofar. They sighted the moon. It was just beautiful. And I thought, this is cool. Like, why haven't we been doing this? And the word tells us, right, Erica? What does the word tell us about this whole new moon thing?
Well, we hear, we see in there, it talks about, at your new moon, the like offerings and different things like that, and to blow your shofar, and it heralds in, because that's when people knew how to, when to keep their feast days, and those kinds of cycles and things like that come around. So without the heralding of the sighting of the new moon, people wouldn't be aware, and so right. That's what it was all about.
Yeah. And it's kind of new. It's okay if it's new to you. And if you have questions, ask. We're here to help you. Ask. And I know we have lots of ladies in here, especially Erica, will hop in there and help answer questions. And it isn't some weird thing with women dancing around with, maybe dancing, but it's not some pagan thing, weird thing. We're not, sacrificing children or anything. So it's, I'm not kidding. This is my favorite, Erica. Thank you for joining with me today. I mean, not only I love Erica because she is, she's one of my peeps. I mean, she's a correctional officer, so she's tough, and she can jump in there with the boys and arm wrestle you and probably win. And but at the same time, she's a girl, and she can talk about, she's an amazing mother, and she's, schooling her children, and what an amazing wife, and she loves the word, and she loves the Father. And if you don't know Erica, you got to jump in there and private message her and get to know Erica, because she's such a gift. You're going to see even more today as we go in. But we're in Leviticus 19:1 through 20:27. If you don't listen to our portion this week, Annie Perez is, it's about a 13-minute long. You can listen to her read it to you. Annie's reading it to you. And you just go to the portion, the rootedcafe.com, and click at the top where it says the portion, just kind of scroll and you'll see it says listen, and just click on it and you can listen. Misty puts that together for us every week, and it's such a blessing. And you'll hear her, and her voice is amazing. And if you happen to have a gift of like you speak another language, would you reach out to Misty, misty.therootedcafe@gmail.com with a K-A-F-E, because we're looking for ladies to start reading this in some other languages, but we need a few in every language to make sure one lady doesn't get burned out, right, Erica? We don't want like one lady having to do all the Spanish. So, but we do want to minister to all the women around the world and let them hear Torah read to them from another woman in their native tongue. So if you could help us with that, let us know, or just go info@therooted.cafe and we'll get it to Misty if you can't remember that. But favorite books. I want to know on here on Facebook, also here on Zoom, wherever you're at, or you're on the recording, however you can comment to us. Would you tell me, is Leviticus becoming one of your new favorite books? I want to know. Some of you, this is your first time through a Torah cycle, or maybe you just skipped over Leviticus because who wants to read all the rules and the regulations and everything? But I want to know if you're watching. If I can see you, I can see some of you up at the top. Wave yes. Is this one of your favorite books now? Do you see it?
This is where I always stopped in my 1-year cycle. I get Genesis. I love Genesis. I get to Exodus. I get to Leviticus. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And now it's like, give me more.
Yeah. What is this? What is this? But this is a very, very, very special portion. And I really, right? I mean, Erica, you and I are chiastic fools, but why is this important? What is important about this portion?
Well, we know that Leviticus, so chiasm is that mirrored pattern. So you might have A, B, C, and then have B, A. So it's like a hinge. So you have Genesis and Exodus on one side, and then you have Numbers and Deuteronomy, and those point back to the whole of Leviticus. But then within Leviticus, because it's the center, you have center things in there. And so this portion is usually read in a double portion with Akre Mot from last week. And so we get that connection of those two. And so that becomes the exact center we see, the Day of Atonement, his sacrifice, that covers us, becomes the center of all of Torah. And it's so beautiful.
It is so beautiful. And there's be some things we can all be confused on or whatever, like wait, it's a double portion. It's this, was it last week? Well, why are we doing, why still people do? Listen, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a leap year and then we'll all catch up, and then it'll be another leap year and then we'll all, here's the thing. Last week we did the other one. This week we'll do this one. We'll all catch up. So here's
that I just figured out this year. I actually had to map it out because I'm one of those like Joey on Friends. I have to stand on the map. I actually had to map it out because last year we were on a different calendar than you guys. But we were keeping the regular Torah portions. We didn't change the Torah portions. And so I actually had to like sit and write it out. And that's when I realized the way I was like, how do they do this in a leap year? And I was like, oh, they separate them out. I was like, so those double portions, they just pull those double portions apart. And
so we're in a leap year apparently. So we're pulling portions apart this time. So, that's why. So, right. Sarita, Numbers became, I see Sarita wrote in here, Numbers. I love Numbers. Numbers is actually, and Amanda, you stopped at Numbers. I remember falling in love with the book of Numbers. Random, right? But this specific chapter, we are halfway through Torah, y'all. We have just as far to go as we've come. This is the middle. There is a big deal in Hebraic thinking, in the way that we say chiasm, we can make it fancy, but it's the middle, guys. This is the middle. And I spend time in this, whatever you can make tomorrow, a Sabbath of Sabbaths for you, where you really sit in this portion. You really work this through. We want to spend time in this today because it's that important. It is the center. Now this is Charlie speaking, not God. If you had only one portion that you could have, this one might be the one you had. If you could only take one with you and you're on a deserted island, which portion would you take? This should be the one, because this sums up a lot of the things. This is talking about the most important things. We hear Yeshua saying when he's asked, what's the most important commandments? He'll say, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength. And he's going to say, love your neighbor as yourself. When he's talking about these things, we're going to point back to this. A lot of us think, oh, the love chapter is 1 Corinthians 13. If I asked that on a quiz, Bible quiz, what's the love chapter? You would all say 1 Corinthians 13. I'm going to encourage you to think again. The Kedoshim is the love portion. It is the love portion. Erica and I didn't have a chance really to talk this week. We both have full lives. And as we were texting really quick before, and she was like, we're both like, it's about love, it's love. That's really the thing. And it's not simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. How about that? It's simple, but it's not easy. But that word, we'll start out with kadosh, right? Kedoshim is and he says, be kadosh, be kadosh. Kadash is the root of that Hebrew word root. I'd love for some of you guys to get involved here. And if you want to look that up and start popping some things in here for us, instead of us doing the work. How about you guys? It's time now. Tag. Y'all start going Blue Letter Bible. Let's look up give us some H letters, give us some H numbers for the root of kadosh. But I want to say the word doesn't just mean, we think holy. Erica, what's your take on that? I mean, I think we have some misconceptions in English, right, of what that really looks like.
For the most part, like growing up, Christian, like just that it's almost unattainable. Mm-hmm. That holiness is unattainable, but holiness just means to be set apart. You're set apart for a purpose of something. And so when you set yourself apart for the purpose of something, then, that is what makes you holy. So it's being able to be like, I'm willing to be used for his purpose. I'm willing to follow his commands so that I'm set apart for his purpose. So there's that obedience level that comes with it too. And so that's the way I began to kind of like do that flip of the switch on it.
That's I like flip of the switch. There is a flip of the switch that happens because have you ever thought like, well, how am I supposed to be holy? I'm not God, I'm not God. So I can only do so much. And I know I've had these conversations early on with my husband. And now we both changed our tune, we're like, well, what does he expect? We're not him. We are human. We are flesh. And then now you start realizing that switch gets flipped and you say, it's really not about that. And it's a lifelong process, right, Erica? He's not, and we're going to get into this in a minute, but he's not just, he's proclaiming something over us and empowering us to do something, not saying that we're doing it in our own strength, saying, oh my gosh, you have to struggle in this giant mountain you have to climb by yourself to be holy. I wrote a nerd fact down, Erica. There are 64 verses, in this portion, and it's a Hebraic mnemonic for glow. So, and I was thinking, this is how we're the light on the hill. This is how we keep our lamps full of oil. This is how this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Like, this is it right here. This is the middle. He's saying, how do you do it? This is where we're at right here. I'm going to show you how to do it. And what? Because I'm honoring my parents and because of how I mix materials or how I do what? What does that have to do with anything about how I treat people? Yeah, exactly. It's about community, right, Erica? It's not what we think. It's not, oh, you have to do this and don't do this. And again, can I just say, this is a lot of things about things that we're going to talk about. This is none of this, again, we reinforce all the time, is not about a salvation issue at all. This is about you living an abundant life, being who you're called to be, walking in wholeness, being whole, right? But it's interesting that we have this in this middle. This is all about, that mnemonic is about glowing, and it should be glowing from the center of your word. It should be glowing from your heart. Yeah, this is the main thing.
Sacrifice so that we could do those things. Without the atoning sacrifice, we cannot walk in, the spirit of power to be able to, to love our neighbors, to do the things that set us apart, because that's not what, our flesh desires. And so with him being our atoning sacrifice, then we're able to, focus. He's done the covering for us, so we can focus on the other stuff.
Yeah, we get to live it out. Yeah, without having all this. Yeah, that's such a great way to put it. I'm gonna have to rewind and listen to that again over myself. There's gonna be things in here we're gonna talk about how to treat others, about mixing things, about grafting species. There's things like that in here, but some things we're gonna understand, some things we're not, and some things are those kind of things we talk about that are just because I said so. When you're a kid, You don't have an understanding of something, so you tell your child they can't do something because I said so. Because with a 3-year-old, you're not going to sit there with a 3-year-old and go on and on with a 3-year-old and be like, well, first of all, let me tell you, this is the way the combustible engine works, so that if you put your finger in this part of you're not going to go through. You're just say, don't touch it. Right? Because I said so. Some of this is going to be a because I said so. And maybe if you there's times I've sat in some of these things. I'm like, God, why? That's weird. He'll tell you. I feel like he reveals. For Erica, do you have any experiences like that?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, just even in the keeping of the Sabbath, like what is the importance of that, And in the beginning, it was almost frustrating,
Mm-hmm.
because there were things that needed to be done, especially for like my husband, he just found it so frustrating to like just cease of work. Like, okay, I have this day off, so why can't I get things done? And so it becomes but then as you obey and do it, the understanding will follow. And sometimes that's
Exactly.
just what we have to trust and be willing to walk in that, because we may not understand, like, why is it that that person who is constantly, you know, like always giving me trouble, why is
Yeah.
it that you're asking me to pray for them every day? Why is it that you're asking me to drop off coffee at their desk? Why is it that you're asking me to send them, a nice text message? I had that one time where there was just someone that, was kind of not in our family, but was connected to our family. And it was just like this constant tension. And I was just ready just to like be done and not have conversations or anything with this person. And the father told me, you know, you need to show them love. And that was in the form of, sending a text message. How are you doing today? And I hope you have a great day. And I hope, this goes well. And, just doing that and genuinely then finding love and compassion for them in that.
Well, and we read, it's easy to love the lovely. Anyone can do that. The word says, we read through the New Testament, and it says anyone can love the easy people to love. Even the pagans do that. Even the unbelievers do that. Anybody can do that. But what makes us different? And that's what this portion is about. That's what this is all about, is that this is telling us this is how you are set apart. Kedoshim, this is set apart. You're not common. You're not like everyone else. Everyone else does it this way. I'm going to have you do it this way, and it's going to be weird on you, and it's going to be weird on your flesh, and it's going to go against some things that the world is doing, and they're going to question, like, I mean, many of you are going through a lot of this right now, especially if you're new, or even if you're newer. You're going through things where your family doesn't understand why you choose to do things a certain way, and they think you're under this law, and you're not under a law. You're under this grace and salvation of Yeshua. He's saved you. There's none of that. But what you're doing is, I'm now making a decision to set apart. And I'm going to just preface this, because so I don't have to keep going back and saying it. I am going to borrow liberally, and to some extent, I may borrow liberally from Bill Bullock. I posted his introduction in Facebook, and then for member band, those that are on our band, I posted it on there. I printed it out and highlighted some of the parts I want to, so that you don't know. I consider Bill my rabbi. He was one of my mentors and rabbis. Great teacher, taught me the great redemption of Torah, the great, beautiful, redemptive natures of Torah. And he began writing these Torah portion studies for his children for homeschooling. So he does an intro, and you could do it like I used to do it, like Sunday read the intro, and then the rest of the week I did like Monday through Friday, then you did the thing. And so they're like 12 or 13 pages. And then there's questions at the end. Like, you can use these for homeschool. That's what he made them for. And they're beautiful. I'll tell you, my husband and I, we were in a place of separation. Our marriage was broken. And we committed that every morning we called each other. We were living separately, and we called each other every morning, and we would read Bill's portions to each other, portion study to each other. We alternated, and it healed our marriage. The word healed our marriage through Bill's teachings, helped us apply the word to our home, our hearts, helped break down things that were in our lives that were holding us from being able to bring healing. And our marriage has been it's stronger and stronger every year. It's amazing and thriving and beautiful because of God's word. And so I want to give credit to where credit's due, because he's a amazing, gifted teacher. And so, it's free. You go on there, you can download them and do them with your kids, do them yourself, do them with your husband. Great study material. It's a commitment. Don't let it be overwhelming to you. Maybe just do the intro. That's what I had to do for several years, just the intro, until it became, and that's how the portion started. We started actually going through his teachings. That's what we did when we very first started these portions 8 years ago. We were going through Bill's teaching. So I just want to preface all this, because I'm going to talk a lot about this because he taught this so well. Why reinvent this? But, Erica, this whole chapter, this whole portion is all about community. And we're living in a time where it's all about ourselves. It's all about, what can I do for me? How do I make me okay? How do I realize that, and I'm listening to most people, as I pull my Bible out, most people, it's really about me. You listen to the conversation, and I'm a big proponent of self-care, but sometimes, and being self-aware, but I think the pendulum has strung to an extreme to where we're community unaware, right? How are my actions affecting the community? And that's what we're going to be getting into in this, is what am I doing? How do I benefit this community? How do I bring wholeness to this community? See, Kedoshim, you guys, is who you were created to be. You were created to be Kedoshim because it's part of your covenant. This is a covenant thing. This is something that you're going to deal with every day. You can really, really attain this. You are holy every single day, because every day you're going to be working on doing holy things. And that's kind of what holiness means. Our world has elevated this ethereal concept or a concept of what holiness is as if it's this reaching a nirvana or reaching this enlightenment, or right, Erica, where it's like, I'm holiness.
Only at death, only at, the coming of Messiah,
Yes, exactly. But our Western brains are going to keep thinking, I can never reach this category. I can never reach this level. For those of you know, is it Maslow's? You reach enlightenment, you get the top of the pyramid, you hit enlightenment. So in a lot of religions, their whole goal is to reach the nirvana or reach the enlightenment, where it's almost like an out of body where I mean, so many other cults, religions, they really focus on its place of being self-enlightened, and you reach this amazing place. Well, that's not really a new concept in a sense, but this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about actually this covenant mindset. If we go through this Hebrew mindset, is who we are, who we're created to be, and not a detachment of reality. This is actually how I'm actually going to live this out, right? This is the oil in your lamp. Like I said, this is the salt that keeps you useful. This is what Kedoshim means. And he's proclaiming it no different than when he said, light be. He says, you are Kedoshim. You will be. Actually, we'll look at this as it's an actual, the tense of this. Here's a nerd fact. It's actually a future tense of this verb. So I'm going to try to read this and see if I can do it in Hebrew. Alehem Kedoshim Tiheyu Ki Kadosh. Holy ones, you will be or become holy, for I am holy. He's saying in Leviticus 19:2. It is future tense. You are becoming. You will become. It's actually a perpetual future tense. It's like that glory to glory to glory, right? You will become holy. You will get there. Does that relieve anybody? Does anyone feel like okay, good.
And when we make those mistakes that we're going to make, when we have offenses that we need to take care of, he says, now we need to make restitution. We need to make peace. We need to do these things. And so that you can, be cleansed and we can move on. We don't get stuck and stay there and mull in that muck and mire.
Right. I'm thinking about David saying that I've hidden your word in my heart that I might sin against you. I'm thinking he's hidden these words. He's hidden this Torah. That's what he had. I've hidden these words in your heart that I don't miss the mark. We talk about that. The word sin, chatat, it's missing the mark. It's that archer's term. He says, I'm going to keep these in me so that I don't miss the mark, so they guide me and make sure that I'm going to stay on point. And if I do something wrong, it's going to be my bumper. Like, some of us maybe, I mean, I do sometimes when I get a little crazy, sometimes I need some bumpers on my conversation, like at the bowling alley. I need to put some bumpers on. Time to put your bumpers on, right? I have a good friend and she'll say like, okay, sis, bumpers, bumpers. Because it's sometimes we get off crazy. We want to make a strike. We want to hit the mark. And so the word, his word flooding over us is our bumpers so that we stay on and we actually hit the mark. And that's what empowers us to be Kedoshim, to be set apart. And I think that, so gosh, doesn't our English words, Erica, doesn't it just straight take us off track?
Yeah, and the when you're saying that, it's making me think like as we walk it out, because that's kind of been a theme like that I've seen this week, is that the walking out of the commandments, and we gain the understanding, and then it becomes part of us. When we do it, it becomes part of us, and it's the same way with sin. And so that's what this world that they lived in, this ancient Near East world that they lived in, that was how they lived. All those things that he's saying don't do, that's what everybody else was doing.
Right.
And so when you are walking in sin, we all know this, it becomes easier and easier and easier to continue that sin and to justify that sin and to keep up that that walk. But then he calls, when we're called out of that, then we have to begin to, walk in the strength that he gives us, strength to strength, like he said, strength to strength, glory to glory, victory to victory. And then it becomes part of us, who we are, and we're living it out.
Yeah.
Because it's in us, not just something we're doing.
That is so, and if you think about, Erica, think about another thing he talks about when we talk about holy, he talks about the Shabbat, right? Think about the Shabbat. Can we make the Shabbat holy? He declared it holy. He made it and he declared it holy. He made us, he made a covenant with us, and he declared us Kedoshim. We're set apart. Shabbat is set apart. It is, he proclaimed it. He said it, his word said it. He spoke it over it, right? What do we have to do? Remember it and keep it. That's what our job is. So if we can think about ourselves in that, where he's saying, you are Kedoshim, so you need to remember it now and keep it. It's not something you can do. There's things you need to remember and try and keep. And I guess in a sense that is doing, you have to still walk it out. But he's already
that's
made
guarding it. That's guarding it.
That's guarding it, cherishing it and guarding it, right? We're guarding it and cherishing this, something he's already spoken over you. I don't care who you are. And that's why I got to get close. I don't care who you are, where you've been, what you've done. You think you've maybe done things that are you can't even relate to what we're talking about right now. Like holy, there's no way I can't even, Charlie, I can't even, Erica, I can't say that. There's no way I'm holy. Maybe someday I could be like that. Maybe someday. Today, I want you to know he has proclaimed over you, sister, you are Kedoshim. You are Kadosh. You are holy. He is proclaiming it over you. Now you get to guard that. Receive that in your heart. I pray that it just stirs something up inside of you, that you receive it, that you see who you are. He's already called you and proclaimed you. You don't have an identity crisis. There's not a non-binary. I'm kind of holy, but not holy. I don't know really my identity. I'm not a whatever. I know my pronoun, holy. That's I am. That's what I am. You are. Not because of anything that you did, but because of what he did for you, because of the covenant. He says he will chase you down to make sure that this covenant stays in place. And that includes helping you to live this life to its fullness and to its greatness. And if we let go of this, oh my gosh, all these works I have to do, instead, this is who I am. And now I get to do these other things. And a side effect, like your children, when they don't stop being your kids, but when they do really good things and they start walking and they obey, they get some extra benefits, right? You can trust them to bless them with things because they're not going to run off and spend all the money on something. So you give them a little more because you know that they're going to use it in a good way, right?
And they want to do those things because they know you, they trust you, they have this relationship with you, that allows for that, and that freedom comes, that when there is a mess up, things have to be dealt with, but it'll be in love, and that, you know, sometimes it does feel like you're chasing them down, right?
It
It
does,
feels
right?
like we're chasing them down, but yeah, it becomes a reciprocal relationship, not just doing because I have, like, like you were saying, I have to do it, I have to do it. It's something I get to do because it's going to be pleasing to my parent.
So that, yeah, exactly. And you know what? This whole section, if you look at it, it really should be red letter. Like for those of us who remember in the day, we all have the red letter Bibles, like everything in the New Testament that Jesus, Yeshua, what he said, it was in red, right? Like I have the red letter edition. I want to say this whole section should be red letter. You'll see it says, and Adonai said, and God said, and God said, and God said, and he said. So Adonai spoke to Moses saying, think about all that. What if you highlighted all those things that you look at there and be like, that is directly from the mouth of God. This is directly from his mouth. And this is what he is saying. And I think, wow, that's red letter. That's some red letter stuff right there. He is setting them apart by speaking over them. And that means us too. Like I said, this is who you are. This is the kind of Kedoshim. It's not mean. You're not going to receive this. This is what happened, I believe, with the, Pharisees and this, and especially if the Pharisees, is that there, and in the Sadducees, you have them receiving this feeling like they've reached this level of holiness because they're honoring all these commandments. They're trying to force all these things, like you have to do these things. And what happened then was that it didn't become this loving kindness, the holiness, this Kedoshim was meant to not to be overbearing, but loving. And that's what this chapter is. This is what this is all about here. He's saying this is about love. This is how to love each other well. I know you had a lot. Do you want to start sharing anything you have on as far as what you got from this, as far as the love part of this?
Well, and I think it's funny that you were talking about the love chapter earlier, this being the love chapter, because you see that correlation, it's showing us all of these things that love is. And I had, our love for the Father is that walking out of his commands. That's how, our children, like when we think in a parent form, if they disrespect our rules and instructions for them, then, that's kind of not showing, doesn't seem like love back to us. And so, thinking in that same kind of process, and I don't remember where I got it, but it kind of goes back to that holy, Yeshua being our atonement, but it says, the groom is calling, which Vayikra is the Hebrew name for Leviticus. So he's calling. So all this book is about being called out. What are we being called out for?
Yes.
The groom is calling his bride, and he says, you must be holy and clean as I am holy and clean. But as earthly ways are flawed and substandard, I personally will offer myself as your sacrifice. I will make you clean and holy. And I don't know where I got that. If I find it, but I just saw, like, I just found it last night, and now I don't know where I found it at. And that connection to, I'm listening to on Bema, in the 6th session, they're going through John verse by verse, which has been really good. They do verse by verse Matthew and decided to do verse by verse of John. And so a lot of the last, like I said, it's been kind of this theme for me this last few weeks about walking things out. And they're at like John 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in that area is what I've been listening to. And it's a constant, he's talking to this group and this group and this group and saying, who's your father?
Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy? And all of these different, they're like, but, we are the son, the sons of, we're the children of Abraham. And he's like, well, if you were the children of Abraham, you would be doing these things. And so what I was getting out of that this last couple of weeks, and then into this Torah portion, just went like right with it, was that idea of the Beitav, the house of the Father. And that's what we're called to. We're called to live out his. And then so what does that look like? that looks
Oh,
like Abraham, it's his extravagant hospitality, his extravagant generosity. Um, you know, those are the things that Kedoshim and Torah generously tells us all that we need to know to be in the Beit Av. It's not a secret, it's not a mystery, um, that he hides. It says, here, these are the things that I need you to do. These are the instructions that I have for you. And so I'm like, that's such a generous father
yeah.
that gives that to us.
And isn't it, you have this, you're saying this, I'm the house of my father. And he's saying, you are now in a covenant relationship with me under my roof in my home. So here's the rules of my home so that we all can live in community. So that we all, my home is loving. My home is full of shalom. It isn't fractured. It is full of peace. It is a house of peace. And it's a peace that may not be understandable to other people because it's not going to make sense because it'll be peaceful in the midst of the chaos, but there's going to be peace in it. And that's what we say are rules, but there's some things he's telling us to follow by that, that we get to work on. And, every day you put down your own agenda, every day you put someone else first, every day you love when it's not easy, when you do the right thing, you choose joy over being irritated with someone, you are walking in that covenant of Kedoshim. That's when you are Kedoshim. You're saying, I'm walking in this. It's not about you following like a robot doing all these things. It's when you love, when you're loving. And that's Erica, that whole statement, he says, you need to love the way you yourself are loved. I mean, you should have just said, love your neighbor as yourself. Oh, wait, Yeshua have said that. Because he was quoting this, he's going back quoting his word because he says he was the word become flesh and the word was Torah. That was the only word there was at that time. And he's saying he was going back to this verse. He was going back to this parsha. He's saying you need to love your neighbor as yourself. I want you to look that up. I want you all to spend some time in that. What is that? That's one of those things I think we take on and we say it out of rote memory. Love your neighbor as yourself. But I want you to look, if you really do some research on that, you're going to see that the actual verbiage of that is more like love your neighbor the way you yourself are loved. That looks different, huh? Because some of you don't love you. Some of you, I don't want you to love me the way you love you. I hear you talking about yourself. I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I'm not smart enough. Oh, I can never do that. It's hard to love. There's people you don't want me to maybe love you the way I love myself. Some of my self-talk, some of the ways I'm maybe, especially before I've gone through, having him heal me and take me through this process, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit today. He does take you more and more. So you're more and more set apart. So it's so less about you thinking about what you're not and who you're not, because you're so full of who he is that it doesn't matter what you are or you're not. Then you're able to love someone. Erica, I can love you the way that I'm loved. What does that mean? I would lay my life down for you because that's how he loved me. I'm not going to love you perfectly, but I'm going to love you. I'm going to forgive when it's hard to forgive because he forgave me. That's what he told me to do. You have to forgive because I forgave you. You need to love the way I loved you. So that's what we get to practice. We're becoming, remember, not instant. You're not failing. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're becoming Kedoshim. You're becoming this. This is a lifelong journey. John 15:5, if you abide in me, my word abides in you. Whatever you ask, whatever you do, it's just you're in this abiding place. You will change. You will become more and more Kedoshim. There is stages to all this though, right? You want to go there, Erica? You're good with it? Are you good?
Yeah.
Let's jump in. I wrote, if those of you, if you go print this down, because you're going to want to know where I got all this. So I'm going to tell you, I posted it and I'm going to start it's on Bill's introduction. It's on page 10. I did print it out. And he talks about this language of wholeness. And I'm just going to pop through the phases. He's calling them mileposts on your journey to wholeness. And the first one is tahora. And this is the first stage that happens. The first stage that's going to happen on this journey to wholeness for you is you're going to notice, some of you, I want to hear where you might be in your stages. The first stage is tahora. It's defragmentation. All of a sudden, there's conflicting loyalties. Your flesh wants to do one thing, but then this happens over here. You're going to have to yield your will. You have to conform more to his vision. Things get defragmented. How many here? Yay, I need to say I've been through defragmentation. I remember it, or I'm in defragmentation. This is when you're going to start, double-mindedness is all of a sudden going to start shaking and defragmenting, and you're going to be starting to become more and more single-minded. And then the next thing he says, the next layer is labashing. Don't try to spell this, y'all. I'll type it all out in a little while. Labashing tzedakah. Its defragmentation process has been established now, and now you have this. You're going to be putting on your righteousness. That's when this starts to begin. Now you've defragmented. You're going to start putting on your righteousness, which really means it's that you're saying, you're doing in every situation exactly what the Holy One is telling you to say and you're telling you to do. Oh, wait, do you hear Yeshua? I only speak what my Father tells me to speak. I only do what my Father tells me to do. That's this next layer. This is as you're progressing, and you should kind of see, that's what I was telling you. Like they have this, the Maslow's pyramid of all of our stuff hierarchy, and you hit nirvana, or you hit your, you have now achieved the top point. This is the way, this is more Hebraically thinking. You're going to go through, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to hit it. And I believe you may go, whoop, I go back to defragmenting, right? Right. It's more like a cochlear. Like you might, don't think this is super linear. And then you're going to hit the stage once you've kind of got this second, it becomes second nature to you to start asking, Father, what should I say? Are you there? Are you, any of you there? Have you gotten or kind of there sometimes where before your mouth opens, you've kind of stopped now? And I want you to think about your marriage. Do y'all remember there's a defragmenting that happens for those of you that are married, or even a new friendship, but more so marriage, because you're living together and he rolls the toothpaste this way and you do it this way. And he does the toilet paper this way and this way. He leaves the cup in the sink, or you leave the cup in the sink, whoever, whoever's the one. And you have these defragmenting where things get shaken up, and now you have to get rid of each of your ways, and you have to come the team's way. This is the way the team, Deneve, does it, as opposed to Erica and Steve way. This is the Deneve way. And there's a defragment, and now you start saying, well, what would Steve want me to do? And he's going, well, what would Eric, what would be the best for us? Same thing happens. You've defragmented, and now you're saying, Father, what would serve her well? I know what I want to say to Erica right now, but what do you want me to say to her? Because I only want to say what I want to help. I don't want to hurt. Because even though it might sound really good to me, it's probably not the right thing to say. So are you there? Do we get to that place? That's when it starts becoming second nature to at least be asking, what do I say? What do I do in this situation, Father? How do I support them the way you want me to? And then the third milepost is refute. This is when you have put on this righteousness, and then begins the experience of this inner healing. And I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of you are in this place right now because I'm talking to you, personally. So I'm going to kind of read what he says. He says, this inner continuum, gradually improving spiritual health. In Hebrew, briot. This means we finally break free of self-limiting approaches and behaviors like sulking and whining and complaining and blaming for our setbacks that we've experienced of life. And we actually start shaking off all these things like worry and anxiety and resentment and guilt and regret and shame, all these things that trigger us so that we can move on. So we get the shaking, the defragmentation. Then we get this thing where we put on this thing. We're like, what do you do? I want to do that. And then the next thing, now all of a sudden, there's a stability that kind of comes with this putting on this righteousness, putting on this, Father, what are you doing? You kind of start feeling good about yourself. And then he starts showing you, oh, we got to get rid of some of these. Can't whine anymore. I can't be a big fat whiny baby. I can't, what is he doing? What's happening? All of a sudden now I can't, he's not letting me complain because I've already put on this thing, this righteousness, this thing where I'm saying I'm going to say what he would say, and he wouldn't say that. He wouldn't be the whining. So I have to let go of these limiting beliefs that I'm too fat, that I'm stupid, that I'm, he's going to start shaking up our inner systems. And he's saying, now let's move on to this next level. And the next level is tamim. That's being perfect. That's the Hebrew word for being perfect. Wait, be perfect. Have you heard that somewhere? Someone find the verses, put them in there for me. The rofit is this healing process that we actually be able to start making meaningful and consistent progress towards being this perfect thing. This doesn't mean that we're like perfect or anything like that, for God's sakes, no. But it means we're equipped, and now we're functioning at a higher level. And guess what? We start to become fruitful, because those things that before where we were whining and complaining because of our hurts and our panic and our anxiety, which are all real things, but there's inner stuff. And many of you, there's a shaking happening, and these things are coming to a surface because you're at that phase of becoming Kedoshim. You're coming to that phase of being whole, I should say, coming to a place of wholeness. And being whole, he's got to take away. I was sharing with, I think, Brenda the other day, we were talking about, when you go to if you've ever had well, I've ridden a motorcycle, but if you've ever have road rash, or if your kids, they skin their knees really bad or whatever, and say you have to take them to the emergency room, even if you're doing it at home, you can't just wipe it off and put a Band-Aid on it. It will get infected. Guess what they do, y'all? Do you know? They get that ugly green pad. Y'all know what I'm talking about? The scrubber. And it's got all the stuff in it. Oh, yes, they do it, Millie. And they get in there and scrub. They will maybe give you some lidocaine to help, but they will scrub because they got to get all the little pieces that are in deep in there. And it will hurt. And they will scrub it till it feels raw. If it doesn't heal right, then they start debriding it, and they put stuff on it to, I'm getting gross, rip off that old yucky stuff to get down to fresh, good skin so that actually healing can take place. Some of you right now feel like you're getting some stuff ripped off of you because he said, I'm done, sister. It's time for you to be whole. I am calling you out to wholeness. No longer stand up, throw down your mat, and let's walk. He's scrubbing things out. This isn't the devil. Stop rebuking the devil. He's saying, I want to clean you up. I want to scrub out the rocks. I'm tired of us getting pussy and infected. Fever, you can't move, and you're grouchy and you're because you're hurting. I want to heal you. That's him healing you. So embrace him and start saying, thank you, Father, I'm in pain. Oh, instead of rebuking that demon that you think is trying to help you, that trying to knock you down. Okay. So then the next level, this next milepost he put on here is perfection of beauty. Mikilal Yofi, the perfection of beauty. All of this processes work up together now in tandem. You began to bring this out in you. And that's when you start putting on your beauty for ashes. That's when all of a sudden you're quick to forgive. That's when all of a sudden that you're not quick to anger. You're not offended by everything. That's when all of a sudden you realize that you've allowed him to take you through this healing process. Then now you're sitting in this place where you've put on this place, these beauty for ashes now, and you're not coming from this hurt place anymore. And then the final destination you get to is Shelamut, which is that wholeness. You've started with defragmentation, and now you've become that oak of righteousness. You've become that tree planted by still waters. You become that one that actually can bear fruit in good season, in poor season. You actually are feeding the nations. You're actually walking and gifting in your calling. You're actually the light on the hill and the salt that's actually bringing flavor to those around you, as opposed to bringing everything down. He's saying, this is the process I want to take you in. Please do not hear condemnation. He's doing it today. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, okay? You're exactly there. He says, I want to show you how to love better. I want to show you how to walk in this Kedoshim, because that's who I am. And he has declared it over you because that's who you are. There is nothing you can do to change it. It's who you are. He just wants to clean it out so it shows a little better.
That's so good. There's a process for everything. It's either going to be a process through this process you just walked us through, or it's going to be a process in the other way and a spiral process, or it's stagnant. Right. I just can't go here or there. And so you
lukewarm, he's going to spit you out, right?
You're at the choice where you're going to pick one or the other.
Pick one. If you're going to pick the other, do it well, like become a pole dancer and make a lot of money. I mean, like, just go and be good at it. But if you're not, then go the other. Don't be lukewarm. Don't be playing this anymore. Like, just pick a side and let's just do it. Like I'm good. Like, I am go big or go home. Like, do not play the middle ground here. Cause it's just as bad. If you're lukewarm, either way, he's spitting you out. I want him to know. I want you to be able to run up and him going, Natalie, well done. Yes, you did it. Because you stuck in and it hurt. And remember those years when I was scrubbing out all that stuff and you were crying? It was deep wounds and it was painful and you hung in there and you didn't quit. And now you can love the unlovely because you get it, because you are unlovely. You can love the pole dancer because you almost became a pole dancer. You get it. You've been there and you understand the pain, and you can walk this through because he's called you. This is a covenant partnership. This whole time is it's this Kedoshim began with the Holy One calling Israel his Adat. This is the witness throng, right? This is his redeemed. It's not just, oh, whatever. These are his covenant partners. We are his covenant partners unto death, unto the nails on the cross, his covenant partners. We're not just, oh, we're the bride to be people. We're his witnesses on this planet. And our lives have to provide solid evidence that his ways are superior to the world's ways. We have to be the evidence. We have to be the witness on this planet. We can't be the ones broken and pitiful. And it's okay if we're going through those seasons, but what we can't do is be the ones hurting and looking like everybody else. We can say, I'm in pain and I'm healing right now, but oh, what a God I serve, that even in the middle of this, I cry out to him and he's with me. And people get to watch you walking through pain the way the world doesn't walk through it. Right?
Life-giving
Yes.
versus death. That's what
Yes.
it is.
Our conversations, people should be able to listen in on our conversations, our business transactions. That's what this Parsha is about. Business transactions, conversations, the way our children respect and honor and love us, the way that we walk out in our families, the way that we take care of when a gray-haired person, meaning someone of wisdom, hey, I'm letting my gray grow out. When a gray-haired person walks in the room, y'all better be standing. No, you walk in, I mean, give up your chair. Are you that we have I'm tired too. I'm watching children not being taught that anymore. We don't stand anymore when someone comes into a room to honor them. What if we started doing that? And what if they said, what are you doing? Well, the Bible says we're supposed to stand when we might be standing up and down. And we could say, could you all please come on at the same time and not be late? It's just the little things, y'all. It's just what makes us look different, right? What are people going, who are they? Wait, what is that? And doesn't that open beautiful conversations? Some of you are, maybe it's the food you're eating or not eating or whatever. It opens up some conversations and you're just saying, if Jesus did it, I want to do it. If he didn't do it, I don't want to do it. That's really that simple. That's all I'm trying to do right now. And then we get to radiate the attributes of our kings to the nations. We get to shine and glow the radiance of our king. Let your light shine before men, right? That they would see him before the nations. Not that they would see us. I don't care about us, but that they see him. Yeah. It's going to look crazy because we're bringing wholeness to a broken world. So it is going to look crazy. And we see this through this whole process, right, Erica? This looks crazy. How are we bringing wholeness? What are ways in this? Do you remember any of the ways?
In Kedoshim?
Yeah, just anything in here that's going to look crazy to the world.
Well, because of the place that I work at, the sexual morality is actually one of the things that kind of sticks out to me because of the things I hear and the conversations that take place there. And I'm like in a microcosm of it's like a fishbowl of like every amoral type of behavior you can think of. And I'm not even just talking about like the offenders. I'm talking about the people I work with because I don't even really have those conversations with the offenders, right. But with my coworkers, it just like, there's days where I'm just like, what is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? And to have, a strong marriage of, 22 years and that, my husband's been he's been a officer for 20 years. So he was there before I was there. So to have that type of strong marriage and to be positive, like, people will say about us, like, you're our favorite corrections couple, and like, why are you guys always smiling? And it's such a negative and impressive environment. And then it's just, as much as they want to kind of like, I don't want to hear about religion. I don't want to hear about like, you do you. And then I see how their lives are falling apart because of sexual immorality is really what a lot of it comes down to. Their lives are falling apart. I think, what is the legacy that you're leaving for your family, for your children? You know, the broken homes, the multiple broken homes. It just, that's only creating an environment for, you know, when you think of, you know, the Shema, or the beginning of the 10 Commandments, you know, like, I'm going to be visiting, you know, those generations, and for, you know, years, but I'm going to show love to 1,000 generations. And I'm just like, oh, can you get it together for your children? And there's not even that. It's not a future look at things. It's all about the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. What can I get out of this now? Like, I feel this, I'm going to do it.
What's
And
in it
that
for
to
me?
me is what, yep. And that's, to me, is like the thing that when I look at Kedoshim, that's part of it. You know, that's part of those things. And you have to be, and
That
then you get
instant
that,
gratification, right?
yep, and then you get that separation of things. Then he shows you.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the one I've gone through this, and we, you know, y'all can go in under under the portion, and you all have access, by the way, even in if you put your email in when you got into the portion, or if anywhere you're at, or if you need help, email us, find out. But if you go into and you say member sign in, and you put your email in the top, and I think it says forgot my password, and it'll do it and you can do it. You don't have to be a paid member. If you're in the portion and you're here, you have already access to all the archives that you can go in there and listen to the old ones. So you could go back a couple years or whatever and listen to the old ones. And I bring this up every single time because this was one thing that really literally leapt off the page. And for me was, and I share it every single year, and I want to share it again, is maybe you're not struggling with sexual immorality, or maybe there's things on here that you're like, I'm good. I honor my parents. I take care of this, that. I feel like I'm really good. I show love. I'm not a gossiper. I don't run around gossiping all over the place, because it does cause death talking about people. So I'm not going to bring death. And we know also you can get Lashon, you know, Lashon hara equals leprosy. So I don't really be trying to get that Tazarat either. So you, maybe all these things don't apply to you. But for me, it hit one year when it said about leaving the edges of your field for the poor. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, I don't have a field. I live in a house. And so I have like a garden. So what I mean, I can put some bags out on the front porch and be like, free to good home. I mean, what do you want me to do, God? And so I see things, and y'all, as the more you get to know me, and y'all hear me say my Viewmaster. And if you're old enough to know what that is, you remember you get the little circles and you put them in your little Viewmaster and you go click, click, click. So I see things like that. When he talks to me in pictures. And when he shows me a picture, it's like worth reading a whole book. I know exactly what he means, and it means a lot of things to me. So if I say he spoke to me, you can pretty much bet it was a Viewmaster, quick little. So what he showed me was my calendar. And instantly I knew that, and this is my thing in this Parsha, guys. He's like, do you leave time on your calendar to minister to those poor in spirit? If I needed you right now to stop and go do this, how hard would it be for you? Because you've maxed your calendar out. You're so busy that you've pushed your time, your field of influence, your stream of you're pushed to the edges. You're maxed out so that you don't have the edges left to be able to operate, to be able to help the hungry, the poor, the needy. If someone called you and needed to pray, would you be like, let me check my calendar. Let me see if I can fit you in. I mean, if you ask me now, you'll hear me say, this is a good day. I'm flexible. Don't laugh, Caitlin. This is the times I have available, and I'm flexible on these days. Like, my calendar is always full, but it's flexible. So the edges are open, and I will adjust. So there's, you know, and if it's emergency, it will all shut down and come to a halt because you're more important. Because I don't know, is that what's happening with your children? Is this you? Yeah. Okay, yeah, go, yeah, whatever, yeah, just do your thing. What is this? Are you TikTok? What? Oh, yeah, go, whatever. Just tell your sister, do it, whatever. Yeah. Just watch that. Is that you? Are you so maxed out that your edges, even for your children, you don't have edges open for them? Are they the ones that are poor in spirit right now? What about your spouse? have you left the edges of your field open for your spouse? I mean, God forbid that he's even, and your children are put in the, that we, I mean, but I'm just being honest. A lot of the times we're so busy that everyone else is in these outskirts, but we haven't even left the outskirts. So they're dangling on the edges and we don't know why they're acting crazy. The only reason most people are acting crazy in our homes, it's like the wash machine, it starts making noise because it's out of balance. So if there's things making noise in your home, you need to stop and readjust the load. The same thing is with our fields, sisters. Let's take a minute. For me, that's what was this has been years. He's still working with me on this. I'm going from glory to glory, y'all. So pray for me. But it's okay. Is it your money? Do you spend your budget to the edges and you're poor at the end of every month because you can't? Now, there's going to be some I'm going to get mail saying, well, I live on such a strict income and I can't. Please hear, I know he knows, but there's the others of you that you're stretched to the very end with whatever you're doing. And I could make a list because I've looked at my own list when I said I didn't have money to give to this, or I couldn't do this. And then I was like, oh wait, maybe if I stopped Hulu, I could give that $12. But are you living to the edge of your field that when there's a catastrophe or something happens, you can't even give to someone who's in need because you've lived to the edge of your field? You don't have a farm, but you have a bank account. Are you pushing it to the edges of your field? That's when I just want to ask, spend some time with him. That's how important this portion is. He's saying that if you get this all together, this is the pivotal, everything pivots on this. This is how you get to love, is the simple things of living, not living maxed out, not maxing your time, maxing your energy, you're so tired at the end of the day, you can't do anything because you've been running around helping everybody and your poor family just wants you to be with them and you're just mad all the time and grouchy because you're helping all these people. And I've been there. You really have to sit in this. This is one of the things that you write it down and you sit there and you're like, Father, I'm hearing that I might be a little grouchy lately. Where am I pushing to the edge of my field? My time, my money, my talents. Those are the things we're supposed to be good stewards in. That's our fields. Where in my field am I pushing to the edge, and where do I need to clean things up so I make some room? And you know what that does? Guys, it's not just for everyone else, it's for you. It brings a wholeness. It brings shalom in your home, and in your home, and then in your home, right? All of this, it brings shalom in that. Even if it's cutting out Hulu and you save that $12 a month and it goes in a secret little fund that if someone comes in need, you're going to have $36 in 3 months that you could give them because that's going to buy them some diapers. You get to be part of the diaper parade that's going to their house. Or you get to buy some lettuce, whatever you get to, whatever. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but it has to be that you're leaving the edges of your field open. And there's areas of our not mixing things. I don't know, you sit in it. Some of it's just because I said so. Some of it's because he doesn't want us co-creating and messing up genetics on things. We think things are non-GMO because we've GMO'd things out. We've modified things and we're told not to. We're told not to mix different species together because he knows chemically how he built that. And we're trying to jump in and give our 2 cents. It's like our kindergartners thinking they're going to help us hang a picture. And he's like, no. And he knows when we do that, it's going to modify the food to the point where it modifies our body and our DNA. And oh, wait, we have inflammatory issues now. Now we have diseases and cancers and things because we didn't know why, but maybe because we modified something that we weren't supposed to. Do we need to know? No. Do we just need to say, because he said so? Okay. So one of the things we talk about is mixing. Do you remember, Erica? We talked about mixing the cotton and the wool, or the linen and the wool. Do you remember that? Do you remember that at all? Do you want to share anything about that?
I just the frequency
Yes.
idea, and so linen is like one of the highest frequencies, and I actually have a friend, when she came back from where they kept Passover in Missouri, she felt very convicted. She's going through a healing process, and like a lot of healing issues, and the Father has done like miracle works in her, and so she felt very convicted to begin to move all of her fabric to linen, because of the frequency. So that's something. And there's actually someone that she met who, like, she goes to thrift stores and she finds linen things and she keeps them, and then she takes them, when she travels around to share, with people so that they can have linen garments, because linen is expensive. But yeah, the linen and the wool, I think when they're together, they cancel each other out.
They do.
I think
They
it's
have a
something like
really
that.
high frequency and it's really kind of fun. Yeah, it's a rabbit trail you can go down, but not if it takes you to the edge of your field. Just kidding. You can look at that. The frequencies of linen is like the highest and it's so healing in your body. But when you mix it with wool, it actually it takes it to zero. They cancel each other out. I think wool is pretty high too, but I think then they cancel each other out when they're together. So it's because I said so. Do I have to explain frequencies to you? You're coming out of Egypt in the desert. You don't understand healing frequencies right now. You're living not in the right year time yet. So we have to wait until 2022 and I can explain frequencies to you. But right now, it's because I said so. So some of these things, it's okay for you to sit with him in and say, Father, what's the deal with this mixing things? And I promise you, randomly, he'll either show you or tell you, or you'll start hearing it from somewhere and you're like, oh my gosh, I was just praying about this. That's weird. Or is it? But there's reasons.
Petra had asked about the view on the mixing of the materials and whether it's like other materials, or only wool and linen. And I think we can only go on what he was speaking of at the time, because that's what their fabrics were not synthetic. We have synthetic fabrics. And so there's a lot of people that I know who don't use synthetic fabrics, and not because, they're mixed one way or the other, but because of just maybe, chemical or frequency, things that go with that. But,
Yeah.
they
And
might use 100% cotton, or they might use 100%, wool. My husband used lots and lots of wool. He uses wool more than linen, I guess.
I agree. And I think you'll hear us here all the time telling you that, what's permissible to someone is maybe not permissible to someone else. I know you have children. You have some kids might have a later curfew than the other kids have because they're older or because they can handle it. And some kids, what they can handle and what they can't handle. Some of you cannot handle that kind of information because you will go crazy and you'll become crazy religious zealots and you will throw all your clothes away and burn them and tell everyone that they are going to hell because they're wearing polyester. So he won't let you go there because he loves you too much. He'll say, nope, girl, sister, that's more than you can handle. That's more temptation. I'm not going to even teach you that yet till you're process some more rocks come out of that wound. And then I'll let you know about linen and wool or polyester.
And everybody's, we can take this to a spiritual level, but everybody's bodies are different. So like there's people who can't eat wheat or, things because their body can't process it. And so they have to restrain from, those certain things or certain foods. And so it may be like that. So, I would love to have an all natural, wardrobe that is not in like what I mean. I have a certain uniform I have to wear. I have these disgusting shirts that I have to wear for work, and it's not, so I can.
Aren't they feeling? Don't you feel so much life and healing when you put it on?
Yes, you wear the freeing linen feels great.
Anyway,
So
I would love to hear your experience if you're a linen wearer. If you're a linen wearer, I would love to hear your experience because I would tend to go that direction. I would let go of I have to iron it all the time and I would be okay with being a regal mess. I'd be okay with that. I'd let it go.
That's the Florida lifestyle. My aunt in Florida has no idea what an iron is, and all her stuff is that flowy linen type of things.
I'm in. I feel like I could do that. This shirt is like, I'm sure polyester and something mixed, so there's a lot of stuff we've done. We still do. His grace is sufficient. Yeah. His grace is sufficient. And he's working on us. We are becoming Kedoshim. We are becoming holy. Does that free anyone up? Does that free you up to realize you're not failing, that you're actually in the process? I hope it frees you to realize you might be in that scrubbing thing where he's pulling some things out. I will warn you, and you hear me all the time, if you're in the same place you were 5 years ago, sister, it's time to suck it up, get your big girl panties on and get this healed already, because you have things to do. He's given you gifts. And I know there's, I in coaching and mentoring women, they'll, if ladies will come and say, oh, I have this, I know he's put on my heart. And maybe I'll share it with this person. I'm like, but what if he wanted you to share it with the nations? Oh, I could never do that. Why? You're his daughter. It's a gift he gave you. And he's saying, I'm trusting you with this to give it to the nations. And you're saying, no, I'm going to hide it under the bushel because I'm embarrassed or because I'm not healthy enough. Get healthy. It's time to get healthy. He's got gifts in you that I need. I need you to operate in your gifts so that there's things I don't know. There's things that you're the foot and now I'm limping because you're not operating in your gifts. Or maybe you're an eye and I can't see now. Your community doesn't see well because you're not operating in your gift. We need you. None of us are more important than the other. We all have jobs and we've all read and studied about the body of Christ. That's this right here. This is our community. This is how we operate in this community together. Yeah. Any final thoughts you have, Miss Erica?
I love this part of the portion has the Tu B'Shavat verses, which are the tree verses in it, which I find interesting that those are stuck in there. Like it just seems like an odd place to put them, but not, because I have come to an understanding when I read those of like a picture of our own lives. And the idea of the trees, 3 years, they're not touched. 4th year is for Adonai. And then after that, it's open. I see that for like, I see it as a process of our ministry, a process of bringing someone back into community. Because one of the things that I have seen is that maybe someone who has been involved in sin and like a deep sin, not like I offended my brother, like deep sin, instead of, holding back and waiting to jump back into ministry, they chose to jump right back into ministry. And I don't think that that was benefiting or life-giving. And so waiting that 3 years shows that I'm willing to be humble, that I'm willing to, learn. And then on giving that 4th year to the Father in service, I don't know. There's just so many things I think we can unpack out of those verses about the trees.
Yes.
And there's, I think, there's some creation gospel connections there. There's some other things there that, that just, when I see it layer upon layer, it's not just about trees. We're trees. We're the land. So there's so many layers to those verses. So I just, I would say, just check those out and kind of, sit in those for a little bit too.
Yeah, if this truly is, and I do feel that pretty passionate about this. If you were on a deserted island and you can only take one parsha, this should be the parsha you take with you. It's that important. It really covers so much, so many layers, so much about how you can walk out who you were called to be, how you walk out the progression of being holy, walk out the progression of being set apart. I like that word better. Being set apart for a set apart use. You're not common. See, that was the difference, right? You have the common things and then you have the set apart things, the holy things and the common things. You are set apart. He didn't call you. You're not like the common things in the temple, in the tabernacle. You're not like, he said, you are the one part of the holy parts of that. You are holy and you are the tabernacle. So you are holy. You are set apart. You are not common. I don't care what your father told you. If he said you looked ugly in a bathing suit and you looked fat or your feet were too weird or your eyes are too close together, too far, whoever spoke those things over you, I'm telling your daddy says that you are set apart. You are not common. And that he's changing you and he wants you to walk in that, who you've been called to be. Yeah. Very good. We're on day 20 of counting the Omer. For those of you counting the Omer, right? We're on day 20. And there's a great app. If we've heard us talking back and forth, you use the Chabad app and it's a little bit shaming you. They're like, did you really count that day? And you have to be like, yes, I did. I was a little nervous. But they, and I also got this recently, which it just came in the mail and I was super excited about it, but this is my first time really digging into making this a thing. So y'all, you're not alone. I was so focused on studying and I did such a great job. I feel like a good foundation on studying with the redemption of the Torah, those things, but I wasn't walking out a lot of things because I didn't know how. Nobody was teaching me how. And that was the reason I started the Rooted Cafe, because I told you I started what I needed. So y'all have helped me too, but this is a really good, it's a devotional about counting the Omer. This is her, I don't know, it says one, maybe she has two. But today is,
Who's that
we're in,
by, Charlie? Who's
it's
that by?
Deborah Brandt,
Okay.
Rabin Deborah Brandt. Yeah.
Yeah. I have my
Yeah.
my future daughter-in-law has sat under her. They're under, they've been under her teaching before. So
Oh,
I have a couple of
fantastic.
those books. Yeah, they're really
Yeah, she has this is her devotional series for counting the Omer, and this is one. I think she has multiple ones, but on the Chabad app, it's about compassion, and I think it has a really good statement. It says, "What's the difference between kindness and compassion? Kindness gives to another. Compassion knows no other." So I think that was kind of interesting. So anyways, and then they have cute little little trainers on here, saying, thanking God for counting the times of the commandments to counting the Omer. So little things on here, kind of fun. Go through. You can get down lots of trails. Your field can get very pushed to the max. And sometimes your field can jump into other people's fields because you've used your field up. So you're like, hey, let me have some of your field. And then that never works out, right? So I'm just asked today that you spend some time in this Parsha, that you spend some time asking Father, where are the areas this year that you want me to focus on to be set apart? How do I guard and protect what you've proclaimed over me? Because you've proclaimed me to be set apart. You said that I am Kedoshim. So Father, where am I in a stages here? Is there something that I'm ignoring that you're trying to do in my life? Is there something I'm rebuking the enemy for that you're actually trying to bring healing to and I've been resisting? Would you show me? Because I just want to move forward and to the next glory, to the next step, so that to get to that place of wholeness, so that I'm fruitful. And like the trees, I want to be that tree planted by still waters. I want to get to that place to where my fruit is feeding nations and feeding others. And I'm not taking, and I'm actually giving. And I want to be that in your kingdom, Father. So, Father, I ask that you bless them. Bless them, Father. You know that was Erica and our cry before we even started and before they came on, was that they would be blessed, that their ears would be opened, Father, and wherever they're at, that they would not have received any condemnation. They would have heard, Father, your love, your mercy, that you will go to 1,000 generations to find and love on them. You'll do whatever it takes to maintain this covenant unto death, unto dying up on a cross for us, Father. We just thank you. We don't understand. We don't understand that type of love, but every day, Father, would you show us how? Father, I ask that every single woman listening now, listening later, reruns, that they, Father, would feel your love and feel your words washing over them of who they are, that you're telling them they are set apart. They would hear their name. You are set apart. They would say it out loud. I am Kedoshim. I am set apart. I am becoming Kedoshim. Thank you, Father, for your grace, your long suffering, and your love for all of us. I ask you, bless them, you keep them, Father, that you would cause your face to shine upon them. You'd be gracious to them, Father, and you would give them today perfect shalom. Amen. Thank you, Erica. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Those of you can hop over. We'll be hanging out on the after party in Zoom, hanging out for a little bit. To Monday night, if you happen to go on messianic.lamb.network.com, they're not on YouTube. YouTube just canceled them because they violated the rules. So love our nation. So you could go on to Messianic Lamb Network though on Monday at 6:00 Eastern time. I get to be on an interview. This is really fun. Heroes of the Faith. I'm being interviewed, which is really fun to me. And it's fun because you guys are the heroes, right? I get to represent all of you as the heroes in this story. And so I'll be on an interview that night, and then I'll be starting a show on Wednesdays, the practical portion, and that's going to be every Wednesday at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time on the Messianic Network. And I'll get my YouTube station up so that it feeds over to there as well. And you can watch replays. I'll be able to fix that up to watch replays too and have it available to you guys. But we'll be going through some of the same stuff like we do here. I'm going to do lots and lots of guests just talking about that portion and letting them share their heart on the portions in a practical way. How do we walk this out practically? So thanks all of you. Thanks all of you who are coming over with us. Love, 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 love you. And we'll see you next week. I almost hung up on you.